You are Locked On Dodgers Postcast, part of Locked On Los Angeles on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey, indeed. Back at it once again for the Dodger Postcast. Thank you for joining me. I am Pete Fox. And thanks for watching us on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel, the place to hang out when every game is done. And thanks for listening on the Locked On Dodgers podcast feed. Again, I'm Pete Fox, been covering sports in LA for ESPN LA and NBC Sports Radio dating back to 2007. Tonight's show brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. New customers join today, and you'll get $200 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Well, that is what we're looking for when it comes to Dodger wins, especially against the hated Giants. That felt good because it was never in doubt, stress-free, easy peasy, right? That's exactly the way I would like them to go more often than not. Got things started early. Mookie Betts leading off with a triple. Man, I guess last night it was an anomaly because the top three guys were 1 for 11. So it's bound to happen, but it's rare that all of them are a little bit off. Again, Ohtani had the only hit amongst the top three guys yesterday. Ohtani, again, still trying to find his way. I don't want to say he's terrible, but he's definitely not raking up there. When he does get base hits, of course, they're crushed, but he hasn't hit one out of the park yet. And that was the pregame prediction from Adrian Gonzalez that tonight was the night that Shohei Ohtani was going to go deep. He did not. He did have an RBI ground out and a double, but a strikeout and a fly out. And the thing about the fly out that was impressive, or that I enjoyed seeing, was that at least he went opposite field with it. One of the things that I feel like he's struggling with, he's trying to pull everything. I don't care where it is, inside, outside, he's trying to pull it. His double, of course, ripped down the right field line, but he did fly out deep to left field, so that was encouraging as well. One of the other interesting baseball facts about tonight that we learned about going into the game, that if the Dodgers were to score 5 or more, it would be the first time since 1892 the Dodgers have scored 5 or more in their first 7 games. So pretty remarkable stuff what this offense is doing. Again, Mookie Betts led off with a triple, and anytime you get the leadoff man on base, it's a good feeling, especially with a triple, because he was knocked in immediately and got the Dodgers on the board 1-0, and they never really looked back. 8-3 the final, by the way. Once again, just 2 leadoff guys on, to the best of my knowledge. I kind of stopped counting after the 7th because they were just crushing them. I'm like, all right, we don't need to rub it in. But the leadoff man on is a big thing in Major League Baseball, and the Dodgers are doing it fairly efficiently thus far. I'd like to see a little bit more. Tonight, James Paxton started and went 5 innings. Looked pretty good. What do they call him? The Big Maple? Everyone was all kind of up in arms about how cool that nickname was. I'm like, okay, Big Maple. All right. You look like a big tree. You're a big, tall guy. I get it. Whatever. Big, strong, tall guy, because maple is a very hard wood. So, but Paxton, I thought was very good. Unfortunately, we've gotten kind of used to the Dodger starting pitcher over the last couple of games striking out the side, or at least going 1-2-3 in the first inning. Paxton did not do that. Leadoff hitter for the Giants got on with a hit. Then he got 2 outs. Then a walk came. He stranded both of those guys on a ground out, fielder's choice, I believe. So that was nice to see. Even though he got into a tiny bit of a jam there, he got out of it pretty easily. Again, 5 innings. He gave up 4 hits, no runs, struck out 5, and he got those 5 in the first 3 or 4 innings. So he was looking pretty good and feeling confident. He did walk 5, which is not something you like to see. That's an unfortunate stat. The other thing that I found interesting about Paxton's stuff tonight was he was getting a lot of ground balls and strikeouts on high fastballs. You don't normally see that. Those high fastballs are either what batters love. They feast on high fastballs, or they lay off them and they take the walk. But for whatever reason tonight, they were working for him. His fastball is kind of his mainstay. And they said, he features the cutter. He even threw a knuckle curve, which was a beautiful pitch. It looked more like a curve ball, but it was in the 5th inning, and it turned into a nubber base hit as one of the other jams he got in, because that nubber turned into a base hit. Then there was a couple of guys got on, and then he got 2 outs, and then the runner moved to third base, and then he walked a couple of guys to load the bases back up, but got out of that jam with a double play. So I think I've got that a little bit wrong, but he was almost out of the jam. Runner moved to third, then he loaded the bases, and then a double play to get out of it. So no harm, no foul there. But again, 5 walks for Paxton. All in all, a solid outing for him, and you have to feel good about yet another guy on this Dodgers starting pitching rotation that we didn't really know a whole lot about, and we didn't expect to come out and produce and expect to rely on. I mean, this has been the thing for me that I've been most frustrated with the Dodgers over the past few years, is the starting pitching has been fairly unreliable. A bunch of young guys that you have really high hopes for. You're very encouraged by. You feel like, hey, this guy could be good in a few years. Gavin Stone looked good yesterday. Not great, but good, very good. And he talked about something in the beginning of the game, which I thought was very interesting, about what all the hitters do to give the pitchers confidence. And we'll get into that after our first break. Tonight, Dodgers take care of the Giants in game 1 of this series at the Ravine rather comfortably. As I said, Mookie Betts led off with a triple, came around to score, and got the Dodgers on the board in the 1st inning. They never really looked back from there. They put up 2 in the 3rd, 3 in the 6th, 2 in the 7th, and that would be more than enough for an 8-3 win. Of course, the top 3 in the lineup after an off night yesterday got back on track tonight, and we'll get into the details of that. This is the Dodger Postcast on the Locked On Dodgers podcast feed, and you can watch us on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel, the place to hang out when every game is done. All right, tonight's show brought to you by FanDuel. Say goodbye to busted brackets, because FanDuel lets you bet on every game of the tourney. Whether you're betting on a big upset or a 1 seed, it's time to go dancing on America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's 200 bonus bucks if your first bet cashes. And that's just a $5 bet. That's 200 bonus bucks to use on point spreads, money lines. You can even pick who's going to win it all. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and bet on college hoops until they cut down the nets. Down to the Final Four, so that's right around the corner. Time to start doing your research and get in on the action. All right, Dodgers dominate the Giants at the Ravine. 8-3 the final. James Paxton gets his first win in a Dodger uniform. Again, he went 5, giving up 4 hits, no runs, 5 Ks to go along with 5 walks. The thing about this lineup that provides these pitchers confidence is the fact, this is what Gavin Stone was talking about in the pregame, that if you fall behind a little bit, you don't really worry. You don't stress. There's not this pressure that you can't go out and surrender a couple of runs, 1 or 2, and they still feel like, hey, we're fine, because with this lineup, we're going to just mash and score all kinds of runs. So, that's got to be a really good feeling for a pitcher to be in. Paxton tonight, fortunately, didn't give up any runs. So that was an even better position to be in, but he had his stuff working. The thing about him that's interesting, for being the quote big maple, his fastball topped out about 94, 95. It's not this massive heater, but he does have a nice cutter and, mixes it up with things like a knuckle curve here and there. So all in all, really solid performance from him, getting runners on, but then leaving them stranded. So he had good control when he needed it. In the 6th inning, Brazier came in, got an out. Then Conforto mashed one into the right field bleachers to put the Giants on the board. Then a ground ball out, and then a K, and he was out of trouble. So they really, the Giants did not threaten in any way, shape, or form tonight against the Dodgers. Again, 8-3 the final. The stat they threw out along about the 6th inning, maybe the beginning of the 7th inning, the 1, 2, 3, and 4 hitters tonight for the Dodgers were 6 of 9 going into the bottom of the 7th inning. Then they proceeded to just knock the ball around the yard. Freddie Freeman, let me get it for you specifically because it was pretty interesting. 7th inning here, bottom of the 7th. Oh, hold on a second. I gotta do something. One of our listeners commented that I need to turn on the comments, and then I don't know if I show them or share them or read them. There's a lot of them. This is cool. I haven't done this before, so bear with me as I get comfortable with this. Craig, there you are. Let me see here. I'm gonna show it. What does it say? So there's Craig's comment. He just said hi. He was the one that suggested I turn on the comments. And so here's his comment on Paxton. Paxton was very good. Bend, don't break. Exactly. That's kind of what I thought too. That he got guys on, but when he needed to, he got guys out. So that was pretty impressive from him. I like to see that you're not, biting your fingernails when a guy gets on, like it's just going to start unraveling for him. I thought he did a fantastic job. So this comments thing is pretty cool. I'm sorry just to be hanging on Craig, but Craig deserves credit here because Craig is the guy that, suggested and turned me on to this thing. Yes, Gavin Lux and James Outman, my buddy's nephew, are really struggling right now. Outman is even worse. I guess the positive thing for Outman at this point after tonight's performance was at least he had a little bit of rhythm. He did strike out a couple of times. One time looked completely baffled, but I will say that the ball he hammered to center field was in rhythm and it was squared up. So from that perspective, at least he's trying to find, good contact. It didn't seem like he was completely out of rhythm and baffled the entire night. So I believe he's now 2 for 22. His batting average, that's below 100. James Outman is just in a bad way, and you can see it on his face. He's so demoralized and frustrated. I feel terrible for him. I don't even want to reach out to my buddy and go, dude, what's up with your nephew? I mean, he is in a bad way because I don't know, it might come off offensively or something. I don't know. It's kind of one of those things like you don't want to bring it up. You don't want to look him directly in the eyes. Just kind of like, go, hey, buddy. I think he needs a rain out or something, or maybe just you go out and get drunk and then sleep it off and, kind of just wash it away. Or maybe he needs some chicken bones. I don't know. He needs something because he is in a bad way. Gavin Lux is not quite that bad, but pretty damn close. All right, here's that bottom of the 7th, which, as I said, coming into this half inning, Joe and Oro were like, the Dodgers 1, 2, 3, and 4 hitters are 6 of 9. Then they proceeded. Max Muncy struck out. So that would make it 6 of 10. And then Freddie Freeman doubled. Will Smith singled. Mookie Betts doubled. Shohei Ohtani struck out, and Gavin Lux lined out. So they went at that point 9 for 13. So just absolutely mashing. What they were doing tonight was just fun to watch and just confidence building, right? I mean, the thing that makes me feel so good about this team, and there's literally so many things to feel good about, right? Like you can focus on a variety of different things, even when guys are not going well, like James Outman. And I'm going to throw Shohei Ohtani into that mix. He's not going well. He's okay, right? He's just keeping his head above water, I guess you would say. But when guys are a bit off, trying to find their rhythm and find their way, I don't have to worry about it, right? Someone else is going to pick up the slack, mainly Mookie Betts. 2 for 3 tonight with 3 runs scored. His batting average back above 500. He's batting .520. His on-base percentage .636, and is slugging around 1,200. Shohei Ohtani, just kind of like I said, keeping his head above water. He had 1 hit, 1 RBI, 1 run scored, struck out once, batting average 267. Freddie Freeman keeping it up there. He was 3 for 4 tonight with 2 RBI and 2 runs scored. He's batting 360 with an on base of 500 and a slugging of 520. Will Smith is knocking it all over the yard. 2 for 2 today with 2 RBI, batting 500. Max Muncy, after being the hero last night, went 0 for 4 tonight, but nice average still, 296. Teoscar with a bomb. I forgot all about that. I mean, he's just really kind of hanging under the radar, right? Just quietly mashing home runs out of the yard. And, people are, I don't know if they're necessarily noticing it yet. I mean, you're so awestruck by the top of the lineup, including Will Smith, who's been very, very good, then maybe Teoscar Hernandez kind of goes under the radar, but he's batting 250. He's hit 4 home runs in 4 games for the Dodgers, a 3-run blast tonight. That was a no-doubter to the pavilion. So he is just absolutely on fire as well. So there's so much to feel good about. Chris Taylor played again tonight in left field, went 0 for 4. His batting average is 111, only to be outdone again, sadly, by James Outman with a 95 batting average. 095. That is what's that that famous when you're batting below 200 term in baseball? Oh man, I can't remember what that's called. What's it line? What line is that? Oh man, help me out in the comments here. What's that line when you're batting under 200? Damn, what is that term? It's as old as baseball. Batting under 200 in baseball. The Mendoza line. So what do you call it when you're batting under 100? The Outman line? Thank you. The Mendoza line. That was what is it when you're batting under 100? I mean, bury your head in the sand. It's just got to be super. I mean, you can see, I don't know James that well. Like I said, I know his uncle. But the last time I was hanging out with James, he was 3 in my buddy's wedding. So I don't know him that well, but you could just see it on his face. He has a pretty confident, laid back look about him most of the time. All I see on his face now is stress. Like, what in the hell is going on? How do I get out of this slump? Joe and Oral were saying the good news is about James Outman that we feel confident that he knows how to get out of the slump because he did it last year. So, you have to feel good that at some point he's going to turn it around. And I guess the other good news is we don't really need him right now. All right, I'll take our next break and come back and get into a little bit more of the details of the pitching line as the Dodgers take care of the Giants. 8-3 the final tonight. Thank you for watching us on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel, the place to hang out when every game is done. And thanks for listening on the Locked On Dodgers podcast feed. All right, tonight's show brought to you by our friends at eBay Motors. eBay Motors, passion, drive, and patience is what brings home that winning trophy. It's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Or maybe you've got an extra car that's like your boat puller. That's what I used eBay Motors for a lot when I had my beater 2002 Ford Expedition to pull my boat around. I was always going to eBay Motors trying to find something to keep that thing running. I bought brakes on there a lot. I bought tail lights. I bought headlights. All of those things are available at eBay Motors. They also have superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, and much more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered with over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. You'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's guaranteed fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash, with all the parts you need at the prices you want. As I've mentioned, generally you'll save a heap of money, probably 25% of what you would pay at an auto parts store for your parts there. It's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win with ebaymotors.com. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay's guaranteed fit, only available to U.S. customers. Dodgers comfortably over the Giants, 8-3, the final, dominating pretty much from beginning to end. They had the bats working tonight. The funny part was, I think the Dodgers pitching staff deserves a ton of credit because the Dodgers only out hit the Giants by one hit. It was a 9-8 tally in the hit column, and the Dodgers had an error and the Giants did not. So lots of credit to Paxton. In the comments here, a lot of people thought he looked very good and very confident with that bend, don't break style. And I think I really love to see that because you can't always just, dominate with power and pressure. So, Paxton really solid. He's a veteran, the Big Maple. Yes, I'm a fan. His first win in a Dodger uniform. He went 5, gave up no runs on 4 hits, did strike out 5, but with that came 5 walks, 97 pitches. Brazier came in the 6th inning, fairly clean. He gave up 1 run on 1 hit. That was the bomb to Conforto. Then Kelly got back out there. He gave up 1 run on 3 hits, better than his last performance. So that's good to see. And then Dinelson Lamet, a name that I was familiar with, but I couldn't remember from where. I worked down in San Diego for quite a few years at the Fox Sports Radio affiliate, and Dinelson Lamet was a name that came up all the time when we talked about the Padres. He was a young star for them like in 2020 and then got hurt and then bounced around, Rockies, Red Sox, and now he's with the Dodgers. Looked very good tonight. 2 innings, no runs. 1 run on no hits. So 34 pitches, keeps that ERA clean. So a nice outing for him. And again, more confidence from the Dodger pitching staff, the bullpen, everyone really kind of pitching in and doing their part. And I think that's what makes you feel really good about this team, because if one guy has an off night, the next guy, next man up, so to speak. And I feel like these guys that are struggling for the Dodgers, like Outman and Lux, are going to, they'll pick it up, they'll find their way, and if they don't, and you need somebody else, you've got somebody else sitting on the bench. I mean, Matt Barnes, what's his name? Barnes, James Barnes. No, the catcher played last night. Anyway, Barnes, he's known for being a catcher, defensive catcher. They don't necessarily have him out there to be a hitter, but the fact is that he did fine last night. So they can throw him out there and he gets on base, gets a hit, et cetera, et cetera. So there's plenty options for this deep team. And as long as they stay healthy, there's going to be plenty of opportunity for all of these guys to get out there and get their hacks in. Austin Barnes. Sorry, Austin. Didn't mean to confuse you with former Clipper Matt Barnes, but Will Smith continuing to mash, batting 500. The other thing that was nice to see, Clayton Kershaw was there on the mic for a couple of innings, talking with Joe and Oral, quote unquote, about 5 months into his rehab. And he says, everything is going well. I feel good. What does that mean? He's a pretty positive guy. Everything that came out of his mouth sounded very positive. This is fun. That guy was great. He couldn't say anything bad about Gavin Stone's performance last night. Everything that came out of his mouth was positive and uplifting, and that was fun. And he's a fun guy, and I enjoy that guy, et cetera, et cetera. So it was nice to hear from him. I really hope he has an impact for this team, because more than likely this is it for Oral. I keep saying Oral. Clayton. 2 old guys, right? And I don't know, is he a broadcaster? Is that what's next for him? I don't know. I feel like he's pretty good at it. He's comfortable. Obviously, he knows the game, well-spoken, lighthearted. Who knows? But tonight he sounded very good on the microphone, and I'd like to see him back on the mound first. He says, hopefully I can get in half a season. That is his goal for this team. And, of course, he's not necessarily talking about retirement just yet, but hit the like button. My number 1 fan, Craig. Hit what like button? Craig's teaching me how to do this. Hit the like button. And this one? Is that what you want? Okay, I don't know what you want, Craig. Hit the like button. All right, I don't know if I did or not. Sorry about that. So I'm getting comfortable with the comments here. But Clayton Kershaw says he should be back mid-season. The question then becomes: is he a starter? Is he a middle reliever? Is he a first inning kind of guy, an opener? I mean, what do you want from Clayton Kershaw? What do we expect from him? Right? Obviously, we hope that he can get out there and be productive and wash off that performance from the postseason last year, because that is not how we want to remember Clayton Kershaw. Obviously, he's got MVPs and he's got Cy Young awards. So that wouldn't be the way the Dodger fans will remember him. That's how Giant fans will remember him. But the fact is that I just don't know. I hope he had a good year last year. I don't know exactly what this shoulder surgery means for him. But it can't help his velocity, and that was kind of his issue last year. So can it get any better at this point? I don't know. It's just a big question mark for me as to what Clayton Kershaw brings to this team that is just absolutely loaded with pitchers, and a bunch of guys are still hurt, right? There's guys that are still coming back. There's going to be a whole different lineup midway through this season. I mean, Bobby Miller off to a good start. They're going to have to find a place for him. So I feel like they're going to try to find a place for Gavin Stone. Obviously, it feels like Dinelson Lamet will have a spot. The Big Maple. Sorry, as much as I don't love it, I can't stop saying it. Paxton will probably be in there. So I don't know. It's going to be hard to fit in Clayton Kershaw, especially if his effectiveness is not what the Dodgers expect and not up to snuff with the rest of the staff. So I just don't know. I don't know if he's a starter. I don't know if he's a middle reliever. He's definitely not a closer. I don't know that he's an opener, because he's the kind of guy that needs to kind of settle in, right? He's at his best in the second and third and fourth inning when he starts to find a rhythm. So being an opener is not him, especially if he's topping out at 92. And if he's topping out at 92, I think we'd be lucky. So I don't know. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it all works out. But right now, things are looking good for the Dodgers with their pitching staff, even with a handful of studs still injured and on their way back from various surgeries and injuries and whatnot. So I feel good about the future of this pitching staff, and that's always been the issue for me for the Dodgers over the last 5, 6, 7 years. I've always felt like they have just come up short, haven't had enough in that department. This year, it feels different thus far. Let's keep our fingers crossed that will continue, and it will only get better as these guys come back from the IL and get back in there and get back into the rotation, because that's a big part of what the Dodgers need to be successful and make a run at winning a World Series. But so far, so good. Good performance tonight from Paxton. Good performance last night from Gavin Stone. Bobby Miller looked good. Yoshinobu Yamamoto in his first performance Saturday also looked very good. So far, so good. Let's keep our fingers crossed that this continues and we don't have to worry about pitching anytime soon. Again, the Dodgers take care of the Giants in game 1 of this series comfortably by a score of 8-3. Teoscar Hernandez, a 3-run blast. And that really kind of capped it for them and locked it down, put it out of reach for the Giants. Another big performance from Mookie Betts, a triple, a double, 3 for 4, I believe, on the night, and scored 3 runs and was complete stud, batting over 500, a 630 on base percentage and a 1200 slugging percentage. Sorry, 2 for 3 with 3 runs scored. Freddie Freeman, also a big night, 3 for 4 with 2 runs scored and 2 RBI. So the top of the lineup, 9 for 13 tonight. Can't ask for much more than that. All right, that'll do it for me tonight. here on the Dodger Postcast. Thank you to all of the people who participated in the comment section. I promise I will get better at incorporating them into the show. Thank you for joining me here on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel, the place to hang out when every game is done. And thanks for listening on the Locked On Dodgers podcast feed. I will be off tomorrow because I'm covering the Clippers and Sacramento Kings game, which will be right at the exact same time as the Dodgers Giants game. So I will join you again after the Wednesday game, Dodgers Giants at the Ravine. So talk to you then. Have a good night. Take care.